Hello and welcome to CTV News across Canada for Thursday, January 8th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
Police are looking for these two men wanted in connection with a home invasion in Essex Township yesterday. The OPP say it happened at a home on the 9th line just after the noon hour in the small community of Utopia.
The Nottawasaga OPP responded to a home invasion call where two male suspects had entered a house and fled prior to police arrival.
Police say the duo were in the home for less than 10 minutes, and it's believed they may have fled the scene in this black or gray sedan. Police say they believe the home was targeted and that it was not a random invasion. Investigators have already gone door to door in the area, looking to see if any homeowners may have caught the suspects on video surveillance.
The first I heard about it was the police come to the door. So that's all. So.
And then you saw a post on Facebook?
Yep. And it just showed two guys dressed in black and in their car out in the end by their driveway. So.
Police are not releasing much information at this point. In fact, they won't say who was home at the time or what, if anything, was taken.
We have canvassed the area for door cam and house cameras. We are asking the public if they have been in the area, have noticed any suspicious activity, or if they have dash camera or ring cameras we may not have canvassed for, to come forward and call the Nottawasaga OPP.
Independent of this targeted invasion, police say this is a good time to remind people to protect their home and try and deter would-be thieves from targeting them.
So police are encouraging everyone to lock their doors, whether they're home or away, with the deadbolt, and advise everyone to utilize the ring cameras and security cameras on their homes.
Now, police are asking property owners with exterior video cameras to consider registering with the CamSafe program. That will allow police to identify which homes have video cameras that could assist in any potential investigations. To do that, simply go to camsafe.ca. Rob Cooper, CTV News, Alliston.
Friends of the family described Drew Nickerson as someone happiest exploring and cycling through his neighborhood.
He was a little angel. When Dawn bought the house, she told me she bought it in hopes that it would give Drew the freedom to be able to play outdoors and have fun in nature.
Harris says last week Drew was returning home from a friend's house on his bicycle when 3 large dogs attacked him. RCMP now confirmed the attack involved 2 cane corsos and a Rottweiler.
Been conducting a neighborhood canvass. We've been able to locate and seize some video footage of the attack.
Police insist the owners have been cooperative and even requested their dogs be put down immediately.
They've been affected by this tragedy as well, and they've been cooperating with us with anything we've asked.
But those closest to the family say the 13-year-old did nothing to provoke the attack.
He was riding his bicycle like he loves to do, and the dogs were running loose with nobody home to look after the dogs.
While investigators sort out the details, support for Drew's mother has exploded. Harris started a fundraiser, which in less than 24 hours has skyrocketed to over $60,000.
When I talked to Dawn, she said every one of those donations to her is like a hug.
A separate community raffle organized by a fisherman who lives nearby is also bringing in tens of thousands of dollars.
Today I threw in 10 pounds of scallops and I asked a couple buddies to donate some lobster. And I figured, we might get a few things and maybe raise a couple $1,000, but I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did.
Hutt also received many donated items. Proof, he says, that tragedy in a small place hits everybody. Drew's soccer community is also remembering the 13-year-old. In a statement, they told CTV, Drew will be remembered by his warm smile, his kindness, and the joy he brought to those around. Qualities that reflect how deeply he was loved by his family and embraced by his community. For now, RCMP are urging anyone with information or video to contact their Shelburne detachment as they work to understand more on the circumstances of Drew's death. Hafsa Arif, CTV News, Halifax.
At this newly opened independent pharmacy, customers are said to be looking for anything they can find to ease flu symptoms.
What is it that they come in with?
Runny nose, headaches, feeling very out of it. They're just very tired. They don't want to get out of bed.
It's a trend impacting on doctors' offices, walk-in clinics, and local healthcare facilities. In London, a level 2 outbreak is in effect for a portion of Victoria Hospital.
I think the influenza activity we're seeing this year is taking place earlier than it is most years, and that is what is surprising most folks.
With over 1,000 cases reported in the second half of 2025, the Middlesex London Health Unit is urging the public to take precautions, even as cases fell slightly in the most recent week recorded. The risk of person-to-person transmissions at holiday gatherings was not fully factored into those numbers.
It's important to stay vigilant now, and particularly with the increased cases of influenza. And so for individuals who have not yet received their influenza vaccines, it is strongly recommended that they do get that vaccine.
Dr. Lamb acknowledges this year's version of the vaccine, produced based on last year's flu strains, does not protect against all subvariants. But he and other health experts strongly repeat that it is the best option to protect yourself. Most seniors and parents with children are eager to roll up their sleeves.
It's a tougher sell in the younger crowd, but once you explain to them the benefits versus the risk, they're willing to take it.
15 people in London have died from the flu in the last 4 months. That's compared to 0 during the same period in 2024. Again, the early arrival of the virus is to blame. But that does not necessarily mean it is about to disappear early.
And we're expecting the number of cases to continue to be elevated in January.
Well, flu season runs until April, so even if it's the highest peak now because of family gatherings, it still could happen later on. It's better to be protected for the entire season.
In London, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
He just brought positivity to every group. He was such an amazing and chill person. He was very spiritual.
Friends are still grappling with Siobhan Avasti's violent death. The 20-year-old third-year U of T Scarborough student was shot and killed on campus in the afternoon of December 23rd in a wooded area known as the Valley on the well-traveled Highland Creek Trail. Kashif Issar was in Avasti's lab group and says he was active on campus with cheerleading and powerlifting.
He just brought that, that chillness to the group. Like, you were happy to talk to him type thing. He taught me how to do lifting in a gym. He was a very good person.
This was a deeply tragic case.
5 days after the shooting, Toronto police arrested 28-year-old Babatunde Afuape and charged him with first-degree murder. Officers say he was on parole for firearms offenses and allege he was on campus for an hour before he shot Avasti, caught on security camera footage. They say he came to kill someone but don't know why he may have chosen Avasti.
Based on our investigation, we do not believe that the accused and the victim were known to each other. It is our belief that this was a planned and deliberate act by the accused, and we have not yet found a motive for why Siobhan was targeted.
Avasti's killing has rattled students and is raising safety concerns. This petition, signed by more than 1,600 people, calls for better lighting, additional cameras, and a more visible security presence.
Siobhan did not deserve this, and I hope he gets his justice and the school changes their safety rules.
Israr says he's feeling anxious back at school and doesn't feel comfortable in the Valley anymore after losing his friend.
I'll be missing that niceness, that chillness that he brought to the group. I'll be missing gym sessions with him, and I'll be missing the work we did in the lab.
Meanwhile, police are trying to figure out if others had an interaction with Afuape on the trails or around campus buildings. Anyone who may have seen him is asked to come forward. Immediately after the shooting, the university put the campus into lockdown to ensure everyone's safety. Tonight, the university said in a statement that mental health supports are available and wanted to remind everyone there is a safe walk program available. It also says campus patrols have increased. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell.
And we're all very confused by this. This is one of these things that we would have thought that the region was on top of.
Developers in the region of Waterloo are still trying to figure out what is next after the region announced a water capacity issue, saying it can't support any new developments in the Mannheim service area until new capacity is found.
It feels like a bit of a broken system, to be honest, right? So it's deeply concerning when something like that becomes apparent that our government was not tracking, following, modeling properly. So.
The Mannheim service area makes up a large part of the region, most of Kitchener and Waterloo, as well as parts of Cambridge, Woolwich, and Wilmot Township. On Monday, a Kitchener committee deferred a decision around Zaire Group's plans to build 3 high-rise residential towers along Cortlandt Avenue East after the region provided comment that it couldn't support it.
It'd be really premature to say what the go-forward plan is. I'm pleased that Council took staff's recommendation to hold off this past Monday.
In an email to CTV News, Zaire Group says it's reviewing the information and working with regional and municipal partners to better understand the implications. At this time, it would be premature to comment further. Verbanovic says collaboration will be key going forward with both the region and developers to figure out the staging of their projects and when things will be coming online.
This really did come as a surprise to all of us, including members of Regional Council, but also area municipalities. We will now look to see how, in light of the region's news, we can continue doing the work that we're obligated to do in a way that respects the concerns that they've raised.
I would love to sit in an advisory volunteer capacity to try and push. We need collaboration. We need entrepreneurial push. We need the red tape removed sort of to solve this as a community.
Stephen Litz says Vive has several projects underway in Kitchener already. Contingencies are in place, but Litz says this kind of uncertainty can be difficult or devastating when planning projects that could take years to build.
So we sort of put like a full stop on all activity in the region, save and except for anything that was literally in construction or about to start. Fortunate to have projects in Milton, Guelph, St. Catharines, and a few other communities that also desperately need rental stock. So we'll focus our attention there until the region can get its act together.
Regional Council will discuss its water capacity issue at its next meeting on Tuesday. Colton Ween, CTV News, Kitchener.
For people who bought homes in 2021, the good times are coming to an end.
5 years ago, when people were signing mortgages, they were signing rates somewhere between 1.5 to 3%. That was kind of the range that we were getting, depending at what point in the year they were signing and how far along into COVID we were. Right now, when we're renewing, a lot of people are going to be signing around that 4%, 4.09% rate.
Real estate broker LJ Aguinaga says those buyers will now be facing about a 20% increase in their monthly payments. For an average mortgage of around $500,000, that could amount to an extra $550 a month.
That's going to be about $6,500, $6,600 a year effectively. So families are definitely going to feel a pinch. It's definitely a significant increase in their cost of living that compared to what they were used to.
But he says he does not expect to see a wave of people selling properties they can no longer afford.
Everybody qualified for these mortgages, even with the new rates, because when they originally took on these mortgages 5 years ago, they were all stress tested at 5.25%. I suspect Canadians are going to have to tighten their belts and adjust what they're spending on realistically to cope with this differential, because the cost of renting isn't significantly cheaper right now.
Portfolio manager Michael Zagari suspects it'll come at the expense of savings.
It's not the best thing to do, obviously, but it would probably be the easiest adjustment to make.
He says some may be tempted to extend their mortgages to 25 or 30 years to keep payments lower, but you end up paying much more in interest long term.
What does that mean in total dollars that you're signing up for before you actually do it? You might be shocked to see that you'll end up paying an extra $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Could be even higher than that depending on your mortgage.
The other thing that people might find shocking is just how much of the payment will start going towards covering the interest alone and how much slower it chips away at the principal. Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Mr. Aspenleader?
Ian Aspenleader leaving court Wednesday after being given a suspended sentence for defacing the National Holocaust Monument last year.
I mean, the judge issued an incredibly thoughtful, well-reasoned, and compassionate decision that I think recognized the harm that was caused by the offense, but also Mr. Aspenleader's personal circumstances.
The 46-year-old former City of Ottawa lawyer pleaded guilty in July 2025 to mischief to a war memorial, admitting to throwing blood red paint on the monument and writing the words, "Feed me." Aspen leader told court he was making a connection between two tragedies, the murder of 6 million Jewish people and what's currently happening to Palestinians. Reading her decision, Superior Court Justice Anne London Weinstein says, "I found that he thought things through, and while not motivated by hate, acted despite knowing his actions would jeopardize the security of the Jewish community." The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs among many groups denouncing the sentence, saying it does not reflect the gravity of what is indeed a hateful act and its impact on the Jewish community, not only in Ottawa, but across Canada.
The situation in Gaza has become the fuel for dramatically increased anti-Semitism worldwide. 5 months in custody plus 2 years probation for a property offense on a first offender is a significant sentence.
Aspen leader admitted he was proud of what he did and aware his actions would or could cause fear, upset, and hurt to the Jewish community.
If there is anyone who can be rehabilitated, reintegrated, and contribute in a positive way to the community, Mr. Aspen leader is exactly that type of person with his pro-social and positive background up until this offense.
Aspen leader is now on probation for 2 years, and among the conditions, he must stay away from any Jewish or Israeli institution.
It's a quiet scene on Highway 144 today, a sharp contrast to last night. The stretch between Lively and Chelmsford was shut down for nearly 8 hours after a minivan and pickup truck collided head-on south of Forest Ridge Road at 5:30 p.m.
Both drivers were pronounced deceased at the scene. A 53-year-old male from Sutter was pronounced deceased, and a 58 female from Cape Row was found deceased at the scene. Third person, which was a passenger in one of the vehicles, was transported to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
This marks a grim milestone, the first fatality of the new year, just 6 days into 2026, as investigated by West Nipissing OPP.
In the winter, not a day goes by that I don't have somebody reaching out to me.
Nickel Belt MPP France Gélinas says she hears from constituents daily about dangerous road conditions, and she blames the province's privatized maintenance system.
On Highway 144, one contractor does a pretty decent job. The other contractor never comes out. The road is horrible, and only after many complaints will they send someone, but they cover hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. So by the time the snowplow starts at one end, it takes hours before they're at the other end. It was never like this when it was a public system that made a winter road maintenance.
Police say the winter months leave little room for error. They are urging drivers to be extra vigilant as weather conditions remain unpredictable.
Our reaction time is slower. Vehicles slide on wet pavement, on icy pavement, on snowy pavement. So people need to adjust their driving to the weather conditions.
Now investigators are still trying to piece together how this tragedy occurred. If you have any information or dash cam footage, reach out to police or Crime Stoppers. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
I'm like, officer, my kid's ODing right here, bro. Like, I want to know what he took.
Scary moments at Hugh Beaton Elementary School on Tuesday with emergency crews responding to assess a group of kids in distress. Jeff Fuchs says he got a text from his son, an 8th grader, around 11 o'clock in the morning.
He's like, Dad, I made a mistake. You have to come get me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Call me right now. He calls, he's like, Dad, I took something. I don't feel good. Get to the school.
What the Fuchs boy took, it turns out, at least one gummy said to have 100 milligrams of THC, 10 times the limit of edibles sold through legal dispensaries. He says the kid who brought them in told police he bought them from someone over social media.
Now I'm going crazy. So now they call the police, the ambulances, we're waiting. My kid's now throwing up.
In a statement, Windsor police confirming they responded with 3 of the kids assessed by EMS and 1, Fuchs' son, taken to hospital. A spokesperson saying a 12-year-old youth was formally cautioned for providing cannabis to a person who appeared to be under 25 years of age and was subsequently released to the care of their parents.
These are potent drugs that can have significant effects on different people.
A 100 milligram edible is a lot, especially for a kid who experts say shouldn't have any THC at all. According to the Ontario Poison Centre, it can be more dangerous for kids than adults because edibles are absorbed unpredictably and smaller bodies receive a much higher dose of THC relative to body weight. Children's brains are also still developing, which can amplify the effects.
Make sure that they are stored properly at home, that are not accessible to children and pets.
Fuchs says in the moments he didn't know what his son had taken, he was frustrated school board policy prevented a prompt search of the kids. And now that they do know what was taken, he's worried things could have been much worse.
There's kindergartens here. Obviously these kids are irresponsible. Okay, now if they would have dropped one of those, it was a big pack, the officer showed me. If they would have dropped one of those in the hallway, and a kindergarten would have ate one of those.
The day after, Fuchs says his son is doing much better, but he was asked to stay home from school while officials investigate what exactly happened. And he did miss basketball practice on Tuesday night.
Fuchs hopes other parents take this as a sign to check in on who your kids are hanging around with and what they're doing on social media. He says the 12-year-old boy who bought these high-dose gummies did so through Snapchat.
The city's newest warming center, which is for women only, is already reporting more visits than originally planned. It's here on Avenue C and is run by the Saskatoon Tribal Council.
We're building that trust. So you see when we started from our emergency wellness center, the trust, right? That's moving forward. So people are starting to come over.
In November, the women's location was here in the old STC bus depot downtown, but then moved over to this site in Riversdale. Arcan tells us they plan for about 100 people here daily, but so far they're seeing a higher demand than expected.
We've seen about 4,030 women since November 7th till December 31st. Out of that has been roughly about 550 different women, which is a pretty significant number inside of 2 months.
That increase mirrors usage at the men's warm-up location at St. Mary's Church run by the Salvation Army. Numbers early in the winter are at last year's highest levels.
This year we're peaking at 130 and sometimes dropping down to 110. So we're probably averaging about 120 right now, which is up from last year.
And even with such a high number of people visiting these facilities, the Saskatoon Fire Department tells us that in 2025, there were 1,859 reported encampments and 116 fires in those encampments. That compares to 2024, with only 1,255 encampments and 50 fires. Crews are seeing some encampments used to help keep belongings that aren't allowed in shelters.
Some of them were actually being used for storage, not necessarily living, but when they go and visit their stuff, they might have a fire, and so we're seeing more combustible material.
So despite the challenges, those running the warming stations say there are positive outcomes, with 53 women being given a bed at the Wellness Center in Fairhaven and about a dozen people entering detox this month. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
NDP MLA Alina Young speaking to the media outside SaskPower headquarters in Regina about a provincial government plan that she says will drive up power bills by more than $135 million over the next year.
I've said it before, I'll say it again, 3.9% rate hike this year, 3.9% rate hike next year. This is the crack in the dam. This is the beginning of a wild flood of mismanagement at SaskPower, thanks to the Sask Party.
And the concern regarding the proposed rate hike extends to the province's farming community. Agricultural Producers Association of Saskatchewan District 5 Director Scott Hermes, who farms near Melfort, says the proposed hike would cost him an extra $300 per year on power alone. APAS also wants to know where the SaskPower funds are going.
I've heard 75,000 kilometers of infrastructure rebuilds in the next 15 years. So obviously there's going to be some cost associated with that, but show us, be transparent. Where if it's going into new offices and shops, maybe we should know that.
In a statement to CTV News, the Minister of Crown Investments Corporation said the provincial government has laid out a responsible and detailed plan that will provide huge benefits to Saskatchewan by prioritizing the affordability of our grid while providing energy security for Saskatchewan citizens. But Young says the government has not worked in a cohesive fashion with SaskPower.
This is a government that has starved SaskPower for years of funding. They forced them to become reliant on either rate hikes, a carbon tax, or federal government transfers. That is not proper management of a Crown corporation. That's not sustainable.
Adding, the people of Saskatchewan cannot afford another rate hike, while many are already struggling to afford their bills. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.